welcome back to another episode of the Feminine Frequency podcast. Today, I am so thrilled to have Ilaria Mendaci as a guest. And hello and welcome, Ilaria.
Hello, I'm glad to be here.
Ilaria is a very unique spiritual scientist and coach who is calling in today from Italy, from the Alps in Italy. So we met on Instagram. We had a great conversation, and we have so many commonalities, which I think is so fun, even though we're, so far apart geographically in just our philosophies, in the work that we do, and the way that we sort of look at the world. And so I would love to, I think what is so just interesting, one of the things that is so interesting about you and your work is the way that you really bring together the scientific and the spiritual.
Yeah.
And I know that you have such a fascinating background. So I would love for you to start us off and just give the audience a little bit of that history, your personal history, and especially how you brought together or how you sort of transition, shall we say, from this more scientific point of view to some kind of spiritual perspective or blended perspective and how you brought those two worlds together.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So usually people think that science and spirituality are two distinct things, but actually it's through science that I got to spirituality, because science and spirituality, it's just about being curious about who we are, about knowing more, you know?
Yeah.
So as a scientist, let's start from childhood. When I was a child, I was curious and I wanted to explore. And that's why actually I chose to be a materials engineer, because I wanted to study the matter. Actually, it would have been better to study physics, but I didn't really know that. I wanted to investigate, so I went on with my PhD in material science, but that didn't really give me the answers. I mean, I was interested to know how everything was working. I studied quantum physics, but then it was, not really explained, like where we actually come from and how we have consciousness. And this is just a questions that it's part of our research. And when I studied quantum physics, I realized that like this principle would actually apply to consciousness. They were connected to consciousness, like the observer effect and many other things. I mean, it could be magic actually, but it's
Yeah.
physics. So, but it was stopping there. Like there was no interpretation, there was no study about it, because like science, physics just stays in the material world, what we know as material, but it doesn't want to go into metaphysics. They say, oh, that's not my
Mm.
field. So I actually stayed for a decade, like studying with the scientific point of view, but asking myself questions about spirituality, about energies. So, I stayed like I used to work as a scientist at the university, but I still had courses about Reiki, pranic healing. So that's how I started feeling the energies. And every time in every course, I was trying to understand what's the physics behind. And
Wow.
there is no physics behind, because they cannot explain the subtle energies. But
Mm.
then I felt it. I knew it was there. I knew it was working. I had thousands of proofs, and I kept putting everything in doubt, because that's what a scientist does. But doubt actually, yeah, was useful to be sure, but sometimes in this field, doubt actually counteracts the effect, because it's
Right.
consciousness and consciousness against consciousness. So a skeptical mind actually creates what it believes. So actually, it's really like not easy. That's why it's still not studied. I mean, it's being studied right now, but until now, it was something really difficult to understand, because you are changing the experiment, But still, I I
Interesting.
I wanted to know more, so I found some studies. I connected all the modalities, let's say like radiesthesia, like kind of other, more kind of scientific, energetic works with pranic healing, theta healing. And I thought, okay, there is something. And then actually, physics is saying that we only know 4.9% of what exists. Like this
Mhm.
finger here, this table, we only know it for what is the 4.9%. So matter as we know it, but the rest, 95.1%, what is it? We don't know. It's dark matter, dark energy, so we don't know what it is. But it could actually be the subtle energies we are working with in our coachings, in our healings, in our light transmissions. So I
Yeah.
started to, after years of doubting doubting and learning at the same time, but every time challenging what I was seeing. Now I can openly say that we have it. Like it's not some kind of delusional ideas we have. It actually exists, but it's subtle, so it cannot be really measured. But and also it can be influenced by what we think. So there's consciousness involved, and now there are recent studies as well that show that that it's like new theories that make more sense, and they prove that materialisms and reductionism are wrong. So that makes it even stronger. So I'm envisioning that in a few years or decades, like there will be a rise of spiritual practitioners because they will connect the dots. Like science will do that. And then suddenly they will say, oh, you were right. You were not just a group of hippies
Yeah.
inventing things. It actually exists, but it needs training. That's the point. That's why people cannot just understand it mentally and study. It's a matter of inner change, inner work. And I envisioned that when I studied quantum physics, I saw where we needed to go because of all the programmings we have in ourselves, which are the limiting beliefs, the blocks, the wounds, whatever we have in our body, that blocks who we truly are as spirits, like embodied on
Mhm.
earth. So if we remove all that, then we will become the best version of ourselves, which is our spirit. And but that requires work. I didn't know how long it would take. So I studied a lot of modalities along the way. And it's the trip, the journey is still ongoing. And yeah, that's why it's so slow, to prove
Yeah.
to. And yeah, because it's an inner journey and everyone has their inner experience that you can only share a little bit of it by saying it, but actually we all have to do it. So it's important. That's why I'm now a spiritual coach, because in each person I am helping them heal. So heal the wounds, remove the limiting beliefs, open up, embody more and more of their spirit. So basically, what I'm doing, when I work with people, I chose two modalities that were the strongest. I experienced it on myself. So one is emotional alchemy, is the one that where you heal your wounds. So it's like let the back foot, lifting the back foot so we can walk forward.
Mm.
And the forward part is the energetic part, which is the energy healings, light transmissions, actually, which is a form of Reiki, but instead of being a transmission that is like soft, from higher dimensions, but not so high, the light transmission really comes from very high dimensions. So
Mhm.
it's actually stronger.
Mm.
So, and it's similar to pranic healing and theta healing. It just depends on the training, on the channel that you have open. So these two modalities help you go forward in your path and channel more and more of your spirit. And the effect of this is actually you are channeling your spirit. So the light that comes in, and this comes back to a bit to science,
Yeah,
because there's this form of subtle energy, which is kind of light, photons, that it's not clear physically what it is like on the physics level, but it comes out, so you become more radiant, and you see that in people. We see that all the time. Oh, you look very good today, or oh, you look sick. We see that,
of
but
course.
we never actually set our attention there and said, okay, we see it. Why do we see it? What do we see?
Right,
We see
right.
the radiance. We see the photons that are coming out of the person. You know, if
Yeah.
you're shiny, you're happy, there's a lot of energy coming through you, there's a lot of light. And then it's that, and you know, sometimes you're feeling sick and it goes down, but then there is like an average state, energetic state for each one of us. So some people are vibrating low, some people are vibrating high, and then there are some differences during the day, during the year, also for these people. But the goal is to embody more and more the light and become more radiant and stabilize this energy within us. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this is basically the work that I'm doing.
Oh my gosh, I love this so much. I love that just to like highlight some of the highlights of what you just shared, like just the fact that spirituality and science are so similar at the core because it's about being curious. It's about learning
Yeah,
about our world and also our inner world too, right? Inner and
exactly.
outer.
Why
And
separating it?
right, why does it have to be one or the other, you
Yeah,
know? And I think that one of the things, like, as I've grown up and just, been in different schooling environments and gone to college and all those things, like, the thing that's frustrated me about science, that perspective and that approach to the world, is that it doesn't leave room for the mystery.
mm,
Wants to measure everything. And it's sort of like, if we don't know about it, it doesn't exist. Or if we
that's the
can't measure
point.
it. Yeah.
That's the point. They are arrogant. That's the word, you know. If you don't know, just say you don't know. Or like the DNA, oh, that's junk DNA. You don't know what it is, it's junk. And then a decade later, you actually understand, oh, no, it's not junk, it's actually useful. But why do you have to say junk at at the beginning? Just say you don't know what it is for.
Yeah, and this happens even though throughout history we've seen how science has evolved and revised itself, right? And has found
Exactly.
itself wrong. And like you said, it's all about um, science is supposed to be constantly disproving itself. Like that's
That's the
part of the
definition of
scientific method.
science.
Yeah. And so I just find it so refreshing to meet someone like you who is passionate about science and yet is not stuck on, well, this is the only way of looking at it, or
Yeah.
if I can't measure it scientifically, it must not exist, or I can't, I don't believe it, There's room for both, right? There's room for both.
Yeah.
And I
And
think,
we
yeah, go ahead.
might be wrong. I mean, it's okay to be wrong, but at
Yeah,
least say, okay, there's something more. Let's accept that that it's not just materialistic. So that's what pioneer scientists are doing. Like they are trying new theories, and then okay, they already know it might be disproven at some point, but for now, it's a step forward. While some other scientists, maybe they understand, they connect the dots because, come on, how can you not connect the
right.
dots? Have you not lived enough, long enough? So,
Yeah,
but they don't say anything because they fear like they are going to be considered labeled as crazy, or they want,
yeah,
scientists, like they want to get funding. They are in this cycle where they have to write projects all the time, get funding, and they are in this uh, constant rushing, and they cannot really work on what they feel like working on. They need to work on what gets funded, which is
yeah,
what the institution decide. So I know that many physicists maybe they would be open to study, to include like consciousness, but they
Yeah.
just don't do it because of this constant
Yeah.
rush.
They're in the system like everyone else. They're
Yes,
trying to make a buck.
to survive, yeah, and to be accepted
Their
by the status
reputation.
quo, not to be different. But then there are some other scientists that maybe are more more evolved probably, or they have resources that they truly study what it is that they like out of curiosity, not out of money
Yeah.
and survival. And so they are, so that's why there is some evolution. It's not
Yeah.
as fast as it could be, and there's still some resistance from these materialists because
Yeah.
they thought for a lifetime that this is the way it is. They don't want to change their mind, otherwise they would discredit themselves. So
Right.
yeah.
That's a tough one, right? It's a tough.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, but if you look at the works of some of the most brilliant and pioneering minds of our time, like Einstein or Stephen Hawkins, they do admit that there is, a mystery to
Yes.
the universe. And, I've read some Stephen Hawkins and his work is fascinating. And I remember one part in a book, it might have been The Theory of Everything, where he says, we've learned so much about how the universe works, but we still know nothing about why it exists, why it
Yeah,
works.
exactly. Exactly.
I thought that was pretty profound.
And yeah, and also there is a lot of, there's focus in the Western society mainly, focus on, yeah, measurements and like also the physicality, like the body. But in the Eastern world, it's like you walk into a room or you meet some people, they automatically say, yeah, I mean, we have a light body, you have chakras there. For them, it's normal. The doctor, you go to a Ayurveda doctor, already considers that it's already known that if you have some trauma, some psychological blocks, some wounds on the emotional level that influences your body, physical body. So
Yeah.
the knowledge is there. So somehow the like Western medicine or science, they somehow just look at their own without looking, okay, maybe they are right, they could be right, or they just discredit other philosophies, even very ancient knowledge that has been there for thousands of years. So let's start to open up to this field.
Yeah. Well, I think there is, change happening. Like you said, I'm hopeful, because
Yeah.
even here in Boston, Massachusetts, we have some of the best hospitals in the country here. And like at Boston's Children's Hospital, they have Reiki uh,
Oh, wow.
offered to the patients. Yeah, and even the patients' families. And that is, that I think that's a big step, right? That
Yeah,
part of the
definitely.
traditional Western hospital. So, yeah, when I found that out, I was like, oh, okay, that's
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's amazing. And there are
yeah,
some, yeah, special like places where they study it. Like there are some special institutions, like private institutes, of course, where
okay,
they do it. There are some like places where they try to connect it and they include it. I think it's not enough yet, and in Italy you don't really see that, but it's starting, and that's a good sign because that's why I expect that in maybe a decade or two we will live in a different world. It's just
yeah,
that slowly it needs to be accepted, and also there are some interest behind. Like there are some parts of some institutions that are not interested in this kind of healing that is natural, so that's why it's not really flowing and supported as it should be. There is some resistance because of interest, like financial interests.
right.
Yeah, so that we do what we can.
And I think, I hate to say it, but I think too, there's a lot of profit in keeping people sick,
Yeah,
right? and
Yeah.
just treating their symptoms rather than actually addressing the root causes.
Yeah.
Like if we can shift our entire physiology
Yeah.
with one energy session, then we don't need all these drugs and prescriptions.
No, exactly. But they want to standardize. Like there is one illness, there must be one medicine, and it's not the way it works because one illness can mean a lot of different cases, like causes, sorry, causes like of trauma, that brought you to that illness. So everyone needs to go back to the way they came from, like the way the trauma worked and brought to the illness. We can take the illness and go back to the trauma and heal it, and then by healing the trauma on the emotional and energetic level, we can actually heal. Actually, we don't heal it. The illness disappears by itself because there is no reason for it to be there anymore. So
Back.
it's just a matter to go back the same path, but that's different for every patient, even if the symptoms are the same. And that's some challenge for medicine, and they cannot really control it. They don't really know. Then I don't want to discredit medicine because of course there's a lot of helpful stuff. And if I always say to
Yeah,
everyone, this work that we do together, it's in addition, it's not an
right.
alternative to
Both
what.
and.
Yeah, like we do it, we try, we do our best also because in the work we do there is no automatic result. Like if we work on something, we have to accept. I mean, we just need to do the work, to do the spiritual work, to heal our wounds. And if our illnesses heal, that's good. But we shouldn't be expecting it to heal. There
Right.
should be any expectation because we don't know at which level we are in our path. We don't know what is the exact trauma connected to that. But it happened
Great.
before. Like I had a client that we only worked on her spiritual growth, especially on her voice, because her voice was very like, she was like whispering. She was really anxious about speaking up. And we only worked on that part, on the emotional part. And then after a couple of sessions, and for the next year, she told me, my tonsillitis disappeared. She had a chronic tonsillitis, like which was for sure connected to the fact that she had a block in her throat chakra, and it healed just by doing this other work we were doing. I didn't even know she had that, and
Wow.
it was healed like as a side effect. So the point is like we just look at what's coming up in our life, what's the priority. It's coming anyway into our life. So we are using what's coming every day to heal, to improve
Yeah,
ourselves, kind of. No, I wouldn't say improve because we are already there, but we just become or come become our true selves. We just reconnect to who we truly are. So we remove what we are not. That's what we are doing. And in the process, we
yeah,
are also healing on different levels, also on the physical level. So
exactly.
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
different mentality, but it's the
yeah,
way, the illness came from because doctors don't even know where illnesses come from. Oh, the cancer. Oh, there's cancer. Suddenly there's cancer. It's not suddenly. I mean, in order
right.
for cancer to pass to the physical body, there has been something before. So for some years, there was a stuck emotion that has been shouting and wasn't listened to, was suppressed. And the only way was to become denser and denser until it appeared in the physical body. But if you cannot measure the subtle body, the light body, then it doesn't mean it just appeared out of nowhere. It came from there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. There's, we're multidimensional, right? We have
exactly.
not just the physical body, but the emotional, spiritual, energetic bodies, and they're all intertwined. They,
Yes, and they are intertwined with consciousness. So
yeah,
also when I do my sessions, like if the person is receptive and helps me and is courageous and wants to change and wants to heal and is courageous enough to go into the pain, because sometimes we really need to go to the pain in order to unblock, then the healing is fast and the growth is fast. if there is resistance and the person is skeptical, I can feel it energetically because it's like I'm trying to do the work and there is someone doing the opposite, saying, "Oh, what is
Yeah,
this?" Fortunately, it doesn't happen often because usually if they come to me, it's because they really are ready. I usually work
yeah.
with people who are ready. But if it happens that there is some doubt, I can feel it because it's like, oh, you are not helping here. We are not going in the same direction here.
And that goes back to the power of consciousness, right? Which is
Exactly.
something they talk about a lot in quantum physics, that observer effect,
Yeah.
that an intelligent observer can actually change the nature of reality.
Yeah.
Uh, there's so much to that when we talk about the power of consciousness. And like when you talk about emotional alchemy, I'm wondering, is that sort of part of that process that you do with clients? Because I've found that a lot of times alchemy really just means, or it can be precipitated by bringing these emotions into our consciousness and allowing ourselves to actually feel them and perhaps
Exactly.
express and be witnessed in them.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying before. When you are going into the pain, that's where the alchemy happens because you are now listening to the emotion. Okay. You are bringing the emotion from the subconscious to the conscious mind. And you are there and you really accept the message in the pain. Like the message is in the
Yeah,
pain because you are ready to listen to it. And when you listen to it, then it shifts. There is an energetic shift every time, but you have to be ready to feel the pain. And we have been taught to repress emotions since we were children, like shut up or behave or don't cry, don't laugh, don't be angry.
like
And we
girls
are,
don't cry, don't be a baby.
yeah, put
Yeah.
on a mask,
Mm,
good girl. And that was like what we learned growing up. And now we realize, okay, the mask is not me, it's not my authentic self. So who is my authentic self? Is who it is beyond or beneath all those layers of conditioning.
right.
So we have to dig deep into those layers and then find the stuck emotion, the emotion that we couldn't express, that we couldn't really manage at that point. And when we connect to it little by little every day, we should do it because if for a lifetime, let's say 30, 40 years, we've been doing the opposite, now suddenly we have to go back and do the opposite and feel all the emotion we haven't felt for those decades. So
Exactly.
it's work, and we have maybe worked for some months or some years, and they are coming up every day through little annoyances, like people disturbing us, or, these emotional charges that we feel every day. Someone said something, and we felt like every time we feel something, instead of blaming the other person, which is like a waste of energy, we start seeing, okay, let's do that, let's do emotional alchemy. I feel it, why did it hurt me, what is behind, what is the stuck emotion there that was hit. So that all these triggers that we have, we start using them for our own growth. So we
Hmm.
don't really have to do much. We just live, we continue living, but consciously, like if we don't have time to do it when the emotion was triggered, when we were triggered, we do it every night, 10 minutes. We just
Yeah,
feel the emotion and we release it. So that's something it's like having a shower every day, and then the emotions start coming up. So at the beginning, yes, there is a period where we are feeling all these emotions and we feel them so intensely, and we feel like, oh, it was better when we were anesthetized and we
yeah,
wouldn't feel anything and we were machines. But no, then we will overcome
right.
that period of time.
This is such a
Yeah.
powerful message, I think, right? It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
because we're taught to avoid pain at all costs. We're taught to stuff it down, don't feel it, numb it out,
Yeah.
pretend it's not there. But like what you're talking about is just simply being curious, right? About what we're feeling, not with judgment, not
Yeah.
calling this emotion bad, this
No,
emotion
exactly,
good,
exactly.
just just allowing it and having sort of that observer mentality of why or what's
And
going
being
on for me right now.
Yeah, being humans, because we have emotions for a reason. They are not bad. They are not, they are messengers. So let's start feeling this emotion, getting this emotion. And so after a
Yeah.
period of getting back, like we get back into ourselves. So our light starts shining because the energy is not stuck in this, stuck emotions. Emotions are energy, very dense energy, very powerful energy. So when we go into the pain, it's like we enter this stuck emotion, we release it. So the energy that comes out goes into our radiance, and
Mm.
we become more and more bright. So,
Yeah.
and little by little, we go, and maybe there's hundreds of these small stuck emotion, this very hard. I feel them when I do the sessions. I go there, they are hard. Actually, they are softer for younger people, a bit harder for older people that because they have been there longer. It's really like when you start feeling them and then you release them and then you do it for 6 months. For example, you do it every day for 6 months. You go, some wounds are smaller and easier to heal, some others are core wounds and you need to go back to childhood. So there's inner child work involved or
Yeah.
parts work. There's different methods how to heal them, so the more difficult ones. But then you look back and you feel like, woo, I'm more powerful now, that I'm brighter, like really I shine, I have my radiance has changed. So you notice, but of course it's patience, it's a work of doing it constantly. You have to be patient. It's not like quick fix,
Right.
like I take a medicine, it's done. We have to
Yeah,
be
well, I think
ready.
it's a way of being too, like a way
Yeah,
of living. It's not, it's like the difference between a crash diet to lose 20 pounds in a month versus just changing your lifestyle and having a healthy, more nourishing, way of fueling your body and fueling your energy, right? This is like on the emotional side or the mental side, like this is
yeah,
a life practice.
yeah,
This
yeah,
is
definitely. I
the
mean,
way you show
it,
up in your life and the way you relate to yourself and your
yeah.
experiences.
Yeah, how much you care about yourself. You really want to embody yourself, or you want to keep distracting yourself? Because that's what most people do. Like they go
Mhm.
to work like machines, then after work they are distracted. There's so many ways to distract yourself nowadays with
Oh, yeah.
movies and series and yeah, like it's always distraction, but it's not really staying in your body, within your body. And I was like that, actually. I mean, I'm not saying
Yeah.
the others. I
Yeah.
was like that. Like I was going to work like a machine. Yeah, I was efficient working, and but then I was like completely disconnected from my body. My head was in one place, the body was in another place, was coming, but I wouldn't really feel it. And then I started feeling, yes, it's painful for a while. Some people said, oh my God, it's so painful. I'm suffering through this. Yes, like at the beginning,
Yeah.
yes, you need courage to do it, but then that it's
Yeah.
necessary to do it,
Yeah.
to reverse the course.
And the thing is, if you don't process these emotions, if you don't sit with them, express them, and release them, they don't go away. They stay stuck. Like you said, they stay stuck and get harder, right? And get more dense and more,
And then illnesses.
stagnant. And yes,
Yeah,
disease and illness can come from there. Absolutely. 100%. So it's such important work. And I think another way that we relate and have this connection is that we both believe in doing that light work and also the shadow work, right?
yeah,
Which is what you're talking about, like working with light energies, subtle energies, raising a vibration, and also having the courage to look at the
yeah.
places, the fears, the pain, right?
Yeah, and light transmissions are exactly this. What I do is I channel energies, for example, from the 11th dimension, and I channel it into the bodies of people, and that can help change automatically. Like after my session, people feel they are different. For example, a person went out of my session and she received a message saying, "Oh, I cannot come anymore, something like that. And usually she would get angry about it, like, oh, why she's not coming anymore. And she said, oh, okay, fine. And then she said, is it me? I mean, I'm fine with it. So it was really the light went in, and it was an automatic change, when with the light transmission. But also the light transmission is touching upon parts of ourself. It's like going deep, like you can imagine, it's going into our DNA, it's going really into our organs and everything. It's moving things, and then some emotions, some stuck emotions are coming up more easily. So it's still connected, so you're getting light, but you still have to see your shadows, and they come up to be seen.
Right.
So sometimes after light transmission, because first I received them from teachers, and now I'm doing them, but people that are doing them with me, they receive them from me. They say, oh, after your light transmissions, like, oh, you have to process a lot, because you are touching upon the things and you cannot really avoid them. I mean, it get faster. So in my
Yeah.
sessions, that's why they are so powerful, because there's light in it. So there's light channel. So all the processes are faster through the light, but you still need to
Yeah.
do them.
It's
You
like
cannot
the
skip them.
contrast. The contrast becomes more clear because once you've sort of become more light filled or, higher
Yes,
vibration, however you want to talk about it, like then you feel the contrast of those heavier
exactly.
frequencies that are
Exactly.
still there.
Yes, exactly. The frequency that before was in line with your emotional or energetic state, once you got a bit higher, it doesn't resonate anymore. It has to go out of you. So
Right.
exactly, and that's really the kind of science behind. Of course, I don't have proofs. I just have my own experience. But that's what happens. Like we have these energetic states, and then it goes out. So both they are connected, and this is very important, because in some spiritual communities, people are trying to just behave like they would like to be, like in this, you
Yeah.
know, divine self, talking like goddesses, and that's good. But if that's a mask, it's just spiritual ego, and that's still a mask, because if behind you still have anger and stuck emotions, first you need to connect with them. And I know it takes time. It's much easier to just put a mask of being spiritual and bypass and try to behave like that, but it doesn't last long. Sooner or later it will be shaken, and you will have to really confront your true self, your where is that you are now, because you cannot lie to energies. Like it is what it is. If you have these stuck energies within you, they are there until you work on them.
Yeah, and I think that's been an issue with a lot of the sort of religious and spiritual traditions is
Oh,
that
yeah.
they sort of have this ideal that we're supposed to be these, perfect, um, people, these spiritual beings without any darkness at all. And we're like sort of, we can meditate our way or pray our way to
Yeah.
this perfect whole person. But the thing is, we are human. We are all
Yeah.
human, and we're supposed to be
Yeah.
all of it. We're supposed to experience the light and the dark. We're supposed to experience all the physicality and all the messiness that comes with that. And
But
it's
then,
not that we want to disassociate. We want to
yeah.
have the full spectrum, right?
Yeah, but also you are getting there, but you're getting there through the darkness also,
Correct.
because what they say is not wrong. I mean, love and all these kind of things that they say. Yes, we want to get there, but not by putting a mask on. We are
Right.
getting there through the darkness, but then, yes, we are shifting, because the more work we do, the darkness, the more the darkness reduces within us, and the more light we become. So it's just a matter of balance between light and darkness. And I agree with that. We are evolving. We are going to towards the light. We don't want to stay with the darkness, because there's other people that say, "Oh, I'm also dark." Yes, but let's work on the darkness. Let's transmute it. Let's alchemize it, so that it becomes less, and our energetic state can like increase. But there
Right.
like many religions, they are just doing spiritual bypassing, because they are bypassing the emotions, because that's not what they believe is the divine self. And I understand that, but in order to
Right.
get there, we have to go through the emotions still. We cannot get directly there. And that's exactly
Yeah.
what you said. That's why emotion, like some religion, don't really work well until you get to a point. Like when you have a lot of darkness, you cannot really use religion, or if you use it, it's just a mask. But maybe later, if someone has really worked on themselves, then maybe they can use religion as a way to, pray, or having a ritual in your life. You can
Yeah.
still get some parts that are useful, but not without the previous process.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of the times the reason that people stuff these big emotions down or these big fears or these, you know, big desires is because they feel shame, right? They feel
Yes,
shame that it's
the
not,
judgment.
and judgment that it's not all light and flowers and unicorns. And it's like, so there's this toxic positivity that can happen. And when we get rid of the shame around our humanness, around our shadows, around our emotions, around our darkness, then it can be transmuted pretty
Yes.
quickly.
Yes. And it doesn't matter where you are. If you have a
Right.
lot of darkness, it matters that you're doing the work wherever you are.
Yeah.
So and it should be accepted for it. And if it's coming out, and we should really change like the mentality around that. That not, let's not shame that. It's just, if it's coming out, it means okay, it's time for this emotion to come out. Maybe this person that is exploding or showing this darkness is maybe a step ahead of you, that you are repressing it still. you know
Yeah.
so and this comparison is the ego that does sorry, that does the comparison, because we never compare. We shouldn't compare. I just said maybe it's behind you, but just to understand the concept. But we are never in one is behind one. We are just on our own path, and we cannot compare it with anyone else. But it's just a way for people to understand, okay, if you're not even looking at your own emotion, don't judge the other who is actually working with them with these stuck emotions, so is actually doing the work. And that's really something we cannot do, the comparison, because what I teach in my spiritual coaching is like, okay, let's see what is the character that you are incarnating, that you are embodying right now. Is it the higher self, the spirit, which is the one we would like to embody all the time, or is it the ego, or is it the inner child? So when we are in the ego, in the inner child, then okay, we realize there's something there to heal, and there's some limiting beliefs still that are keeping us small. So let's release that to enter our spirit. We can do that consciously, but and I catch myself so often being like the inner child or the ego, and I was like, oh no, let's stop. So I don't
Yeah.
know if I'll get there. I don't think we'll get there, or someone will get there to really embody completely the spirit, unless you are an enlightened being, like big names, like Buddha or Jesus. I mean, that's really like, but it's like, okay, we want to reach the moon, but we know the direction to go to, because some people
Yeah.
said, oh, I will never get there, and they don't even start. But
Right.
yeah, that's not the point. I mean, let's see the direction. Let's have a method to go into that direction, and let's do it. Yes, I will not get there in this lifetime probably, but at least I'll get better. So
Yeah. And it's really not about getting to a destination. It's about, the journey, the
yeah,
process of evolution. It's not yeah, I mean, it's not really a goal-oriented process. It's just like living the most authentic life that
yeah.
we can, I
Yeah,
believe.
but some people, some mentality, they
Yeah.
want to get there. They have the. I
True.
was
Yeah,
like that,
no.
because it's like, oh, I have a goal. I want to get
Yeah,
there.
totally. Yeah.
Until you understand that, but you have to live it. You have to live through it to understand that it's so much. Like there's a lot involved in changing yourself, because you know what I learned through the process. I was very good in studying and you know, in doing exams in school, but that's the conscious part of ourselves. It's just 5% of who we are. 95% is our subconscious mind. And that doesn't learn just by studying it once. It studies by repetition, by emotional charge. So it's really like deeper. So we need to do maybe the same work several times to work on the same wounds. And that's where people sometimes get discouraged, because they say, oh, it doesn't work. Oh, I learned that, but I cannot do
Right,
it.
right. It's
But
a spiral, right? It's a spiral, not a straight line. It's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, definitely.
we go around, we learn the same lesson, but from a different perspective, a higher perspective,
Yeah,
hopefully.
sometimes we spiral down, back down, because we need to
Sure.
still dig in something. You know, it's never, so it's like we need to accept that part, because some people that are used to, you know, getting to a goal and having everything like
Yeah.
out. No, this is a different thing. And sometimes it's difficult to change mentality, but that's the way it is. You don't know if you have, you cannot have expectations. You just have to do the work. But
Right.
it's also there's rewards, and the reward comes when you don't
Oh, yeah.
expect it.
Exactly. Exactly. Unexpected and
Yes. And not related to something, but maybe you work on this direction and then it doesn't happen. And then you are working on something else and then that happens and you say, oh. Now there's a
right.
result actually, but it's never correlated, because it would fuel your ego. So that's why it's not, you know, connected all the time. It comes later when you don't expect it, because that's exactly the lesson. Like we are
Right. Yeah.
co-creators, not just creators. We are
Mm-hmm.
co-creators. There's a higher intelligence that it's still us, but us in a higher place,
Mm-hmm.
that is also influencing our life and puts on our path some challenges, because we need to learn some lessons, and when we are here we don't see that, we have a limited perspective. So we have to start understanding, oh, all right, I wanted to go there, but I'm going actually there, and that's
Yeah.
still okay. That's still
Yeah.
okay.
Somebody asked me recently, like, do you think that healing is a lifelong process that you never stop healing, or do you think it's something that can happen instantaneously? And I was like, I think it's both, right?
Yeah.
Because the moment that you realize that you're perfect exactly the way you are and you're not broken and you're whole and you're complete, you're healed.
Yes.
Like if you know that, that's it. You've gotten there, right? But at the same time, as we go through daily living, there's inevitably going to be, moments of lapse of belief in ourselves or doubt or, you know, crises that happen that shake us to the core. And so, as things happen, as we go through our lives, we have to remember, we have to go back to that knowing that we are whole and complete and
Yeah.
perfect the way we
Yeah.
are. So it is ongoing too.
Yeah, and that's why maybe it's more appropriate to talk about expansion, because yeah,
Yeah.
healing it's
Yeah.
until a certain point where you really see that your life, you know, you're not so functional in life, so you realize, oh, maybe I have to heal. So yes, but then the healing it becomes also expansion, which is actually the same, but maybe in a place where actually it's not that I need anything to be somewhere or something
I
that I
like
want
that.
to be, but it's actually me, but a larger, more expanded version of me. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm healing. I'm calling it healing. We are calling it healing, but it's still, we were not ill before, you know.
Yeah,
So
that's
we are just
beautiful.
expanding. So
It has a more of a like positive connotation. And I like
yeah, yeah, and
that.
also this saying that you are not broken or
Right.
so, and you don't need
Yeah.
fixing, you're still whole as you are, but there's a little bit
Mhm.
more that maybe you will be more powerful and more, you can manifest some more of your desires in your life, or not manifest, but actually embody and being in a different way. Because sometimes, I started this work also thinking, okay, the more powerful I become, the more I align I become with myself, I can attract more and manifest what I want. And that's true for sure. But there's also the part where I didn't expect that I would, maybe I didn't want, or I didn't think I would want to become a person that is maybe not complaining, for example. But then I became a person that is not complaining because I got so much that I was like, oh, I just leave it. And then I realized, oh, but that's important too. It was not in my plan of manifestation, but actually that's what I needed. So
Right.
that
Yeah.
came with the same work. So there's
Hmm.
a part of control that we don't have, like we have to release it completely.
The
So,
attachment to the result. Yeah. Yeah,
and
I like
also,
to think of it as evolution too. It's
yeah,
your soul is evolving throughout your life, and if you choose that, or you can stay sort of stuck and stagnant if you don't want to evolve. But for me, that's the only
well,
piece.
even if
It's
you
an
don't want
evolution.
to evolve, you are on Earth.
True.
And
You're
and Earth,
gonna
the
happen.
frequency of Earth is changing every day. It's
Yeah.
increasing. So if you want to keep alive and being here, there's some change you need to do for sure. Either if you want to or if you don't want to. Like some people are not really conscious of this path, but they are still evolving. And they don't know anything about spirituality, but they are still evolving because that's how
Yeah.
they saw it's they are naturally inclined to evolution. Some other are like resisting, but then something happens. I was like that.
Right.
Something happens in your life, and it's
Yeah.
you have to. It's like the tower moment in the tarot cards. It's like you didn't want to, so you are not doing the steps, so life will do it for you. So you start losing things, and the
Happens whether you
Ishtar.
want it or not. Yeah.
Yeah, the saga, the Ishtar saga, the goddess of Mesopotamia. So what happens is like she came from the heavens to the hell, like passing through seven doors, seven portals, which are the seven chakras. And for each one, she lost something. She lost the crown, she lost the earrings, the necklace. So for each chakra, there was some garment, something that she lost. And these garments represented the identity, the material stuff that she had. And she arrived naked in hell. And that is to see when and then okay, there was her sister, there was some stuff there she needed to save someone. And then from the experience there of being naked, then she went back up. She was saved by the gods. There's different version of the story, but that's what happened. And then she came back up, and one by one she recovered her garments, and she went that back to the heaven with everything, but more of that she had experience, which was the most valuable thing, more than
The
all the
wisdom.
things, all
Yeah.
the objects. And I felt like I was very connected to her when, well, in different times of my life. I'm very connected to the Middle East. I lived in the Middle East before, and I was connected to the star Venus together with the moon. And I read when they are near to each other, that's Ishtar energy. And I was like, wow. And when I discovered that, I've always been attracted by that. When I saw the moon and Venus together,
Yes.
and there's several occasions where I felt connected to this goddess. And when I read about her story, I thought that's my story. It's like you
Yeah.
lose something, then you lose, and then you think you are recovering it. Like somehow it's coming back, and it's not coming back, and you're losing something more and more and more and more until you're naked. And when you're naked, it's like the death of the ego. It's like,
Right.
okay, you are a no one. which is not true because you're still worthy. You're still an extension of the goddess. You're still a goddess yourself.
Yeah.
But let's say from the point of view of material stuff, you have nothing. And
Well,
that's where
sorry.
the ego dies, you know?
Yeah. And that's when you meet your spiritual self. When you have no
Exactly.
more ego to hang on to, there's
Exactly.
nothing left except your spiritual self, your divinity.
Yeah, there's nothing else. There's only spirit because there's no matter anymore, no material stuff anymore. And
Mm,
it is a process of really like feeling humbled. It's humbling to get there. You have no recognition anymore, like no family, no friends, no money. Like it's really like one by one getting away, like being taken away. And I was like, oh, okay, I didn't lose everything, but that's what I felt, and that's what kind of happened. But
yeah.
yeah, and but you're still supported somehow. So that's really an important message, I guess. And it's if you don't do it yourself, life will do it for you. It will take away, and that's not something in your control. And it's so
I'm so happy you brought that up because it's so true. And I think that, that is really a recurring motif in mythology. I am, we talked about before, I love the descent of Inanna, which is
yeah,
really just another name for Ishtar, is
yeah,
Inanna. But it's the same story, right? And it shows up again and again in our mythology. Um, and it's even been called the heroine's journey, this
yes,
journey of descent and then ascension, this humbling, this ego death, and then rising into the empowerment of the spirit. And I think it's a reflection of the fact that being human is humbling.
yeah,
Here are these spiritual creatures that come down into this physical form. I mean, human is derived from the word humus, which means of the earth, same root as humble, right? So we
mm,
are inherently humbled by being here. We're like,
wow,
we're
wow,
magnificent, we're limitless, we're multidimensional, and yet we are going through this very physical, kind of awkward, kind of dense experience here on Earth, and it's bound to have its foibles and failures and, you know, ex experiences where we feel like it's rock bottom, we feel like it's the end, but
yeah.
then somehow we transmute it into rebirth.
Yeah, because we forget while we are here. We don't remember while we are in the lesson itself. We are forgetting why we are receiving the lesson. We are actually caring for something and losing it, or something is happening and we really feel it. And that's the experience, that's the point. Because if we just knew, oh, this is a simulation, this is just an experience that I'm doing, but I'm actually very rich up there or so, maybe we wouldn't feel it so much on our emotions, we wouldn't really be connected to the experience. And the impact of this experience is so high because we are in it. And in that moment, we forget. And then maybe later we remember. So then we get faster into remembering who we are. And by going on with our process, with our spiritual growth, we become more trained somehow, so that we in each moment we start to remembering the divine. I didn't get there. I'm not there yet, but that's where we are slowly going. Like in each thing we do, we remember we are divine, but that's a training. And we
Mm,
start really by doing so. it, like we really have to feel the emotions until there is, you know it's work that we need to do for our expansion. And we don't know how much work we have on our table. We just know we need to go through it and not bypass it. And when we feel that we are going back up, I was saying the first period where we are doing this work feels maybe challenging. Well, challenge is even a soft word for what it is.
yeah.
But then when we start, we go up and we start to feel better and be connected. We will start being more and more connected with the divine, and we will see life with this key. and it will make sense then, but we have to
Right.
learn a little bit how to surf. I always say, like, we are all in the ocean.
I love
There
it.
are people who don't know. I mean, they are realizing they are in the ocean, but they cannot swim. They just go down. They blame every wave. Then there are people who start understanding, oh, we are in an ocean. There are waves. So okay, let's start swimming. And then there are some people who are swimming in some direction because they know where they are. They just don't want to stay afloat, but they know where they want to go. And there are people surfing because they have some tools there that they know and they are enjoying, and they know where to go, and with fun and faster.
Oh, I
And
love that. I love
yeah,
swimming, so I love that metaphor.
yeah,
Love, love,
that's
love.
how I see it. Because anyway, we are in an ocean, so let's just surf.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, Ilaria, I know we could talk all day. I mean, there's just so much, you have so much wisdom to share. So I just want to thank you for
Oh,
being here today and being such a light in the world and helping other people to rediscover and own their light. Like the work you do is
and
just so profound and
thank you for your
transformative.
work
Yeah, no, thank you as
and
well.
for
And
the
thanks for
opportunity.
connecting.
And
Yeah,
it's so good to be understood, and not only
right.
understood, but also that you also know, like, the same things.
Right? I know. I
Yeah,
love that.
but maybe it's a slightly different way, but it's good. It's good that we are a team, and there's many of us, because it's
Mhm.
important what we are doing. So thank you so much for having me today. I
Yeah,
loved it. I
my
enjoyed it. I'm
pleasure.
not I'm not even seeing how much time it has passed because it's so enjoyable.
So much fun. So much fun. And so I just want to make sure to ask you, how can people reach out to you? What's the best way for our audience to connect with you?
Yes. So my name is Ilaria Menapace. Okay. But I am known as scientist to priestess because I was a scientist. I'm still a scientist, but let's say I also adopted the name of priestess. I'm not really using that name that much, but it just means I am in service to the divine. And
Mhm.
I am on Instagram with this name, Scientist to Priestess. My website is scientisttopriestess.com. And I am on TikTok. I have something in Italian. I am on Threads. And the best way to reach me is through Instagram, definitely DM on Instagram.
Hey, awesome. Yeah, everyone follow Ilaria, keep up to date with what she's doing and all her amazing insights. And I know we'll definitely stay connected, Ilaria. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Yes.
we have some healing exchange
Yes, I
as
know. I
well next
cannot
week.
wait.
Me too.
It's going to be awesome. Amazing. Well, have a great day. Enjoy the Alps. And
Thank
thanks for
you.
listening, everyone. Thanks for tuning
Thank
in
you,
again
everyone.
on the
Bye
feminine
bye.
frequency. Bye bye.